live. Welcome to the first live broadcast from Object Passion Design. We are going to take on an interesting topic today as a group of car and product designers.
I just see my camera and then you go live.
What a goof.
Oh, sure. You're always like that, David.
Yep. I have good timing, man. What can I say? Man, today we do have an interesting one for everybody. We are going to be discussing the rise of artificial intelligence in design. And we have, all of us have got kind of different exposure.
I just see my camera.
Yeah. Joe, you need some artificial intelligence for your camera.
That is so true.
The camera is not my friend today.
We're gonna talk about AI today, huh?
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing because in my field, I don't see it like whatsoever. But every time, like when I rarely pop into Facebook, I'm seeing it from my friends who are illustrators. And they're like, look at these crazy paintings that AI is like creating nowadays. And it's like, dude, we're going to be out of jobs. You know what I mean?
Hope not. I
hope not too.
Yeah. I mean, AI has been around for quite some time now. And the most successful one is Google, basically. For consumer electronic implementation, it's Google. And I remember first time seeing the presentation of AI on Google
Google Assistant.
Yeah. And I mean not only that, the first time actually has AI implement is where they use text message. Not text message, they call using AI to call to make a reservation. And then that AI algorithm, it's so human. It's scary.
That was the assistant, Google Assistant.
That's the second generation Google Assistant that they had. And then the AI can mimic the way people talk.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which AI can do like okay, that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
It's like a natural responses. Yeah.
And by that time, like a lot of my friends were watching it live, and been like, "Oh, damn, this is so cool! This is so awesome!" But in my mind, it's like, I don't think it's gonna be good for us. It's gonna be if it doesn't control well, we're gonna be take over. The world is gonna be taken over by AI, and it's gonna be. And our job, we're gonna lose our job, basically.
Well, the topic's been around for a while, but then I think recently, because of ChatGPT, right? That the topic became very onto the surface now. Everybody kind of sees it, and it's kind of happening. And OpenAI basically, launches a whole different ball game here. Basically different type of, drawing, AI that draws, AI that creates the film, AI that writes the script, and it hits the point. I've seen a couple of the drawings. It hits the point where you can't really tell if it's drawn by a person or
it's crazy.
A computer.
Or it's even just like a photo, like photography.
Exactly.
Shot.
Yeah. Definitely.
No, my friends who are illustrators, who are really high level, talented, art center grads and whatever, a lot of times when they share their work now, they are actually getting called out for using AI because the people don't believe that the person can have the talent to
weird, right?
Create an image on that level.
It's so weird. It's kind of like it flip, like the pros and cons flip.
Oh yeah.
It's weird,
no
man.
I mean, it was interesting. Yeah, it was very interesting, like how we used to like I used to tell my instructor, that there will be autonomous vehicle and a computer will be involved a lot in vehicle design.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, like still, person has to drive the car and stuff like that. And then now you see, basically technology is already there. It's just because of all these regulations and compatibility, we're still kind of delayed in that point. But like this open AI kind of proves that entertainment design, for instance.
Yep.
If you look at their drawings, Open AI, they actually, I think the computer is actually called DALL-E, like Salvador Dali.
Yeah.
And the computer actually, they're drawing with the creativity. They're not just drawing with the skill, but now they're drawing with the creativity. That's the crazy part, and you can hashtag, for instance, like draw me a future samurai with like this, long katana with posture of this or that, then actually AI can come up with very cool drawing, based on these criteria, and it's actually pretty crazy. And you can kind of think of like how this is going to affect video game industry or movie industry, and I had one of my friend a couple weeks ago. He's actually entertainment designer. He draws concept arts, and he is actually seeing these AI stuff being used in their industry, and he's kind of scared because they're taking my friend's job basically.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
I'm looking because there was a series that was posted to TikTok where the person kind of did that. They took like our favorite cartoon characters from like when we were young, and they put them as prompts. So we were like, oh, give me a cyber futuristic Bugs Bunny with like weapons and whatnot, and like it generated these like super cool and like just, I don't know, like really amazing renderings. And I wish I could pull it up. Like, I'm trying to find them, but yeah, like I can see why people are getting worried, because you just essentially need to prompt the AI and it will give you exactly what you're looking for.
Scary.
And it will do it in seconds versus the person sitting there and doing all of these iterations in order to come to that final concept, but I don't know, man. Like, there is... Okay, so for me, one of the things that I always... How can I explain this? Just because we have EDM, right? Like digital music, we have like electronic dance music. Yeah. It didn't replace and it didn't kill all music. Yeah. Just because we can create violins digitally, right, doesn't mean that we killed the job of violinists, right? And that's kind of my perspective on it. Like, yes, it's kind of surprising and impressive, like, what can be done. But on the flip side, again, we didn't eliminate those people from, like, the job pool. And the reason why I say this is because one of the big DJs back in the day did a study on this. And he found that the problem with electronic music is when you have like a sequence for music, right? Like the notes, the computer would hit the notes at exactly the right point. And for whatever reason, people's like reaction to that would not to be emotional about it because it was consistent in its timing.
Right.
When you have some like a human create it and do it, the human is like microseconds early or late for that exact intended moment. And those little like changes in the micro spacing of the music is what actually causes people to get emotional about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So people who listen to EDM music will tell you they remember the event, they remember what they were doing with their friends, but they won't remember the song.
Yeah.
Versus nobody forgets like something from Beethoven.
Right.
Nobody forgets something by Vivaldi.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen as we go down this AI rabbit hole, right? Like, it will be really good at creating easy to consume stuff, but not memorable stuff in the long run.
I feel like
that's just my take.
If AI take over, let's say product design, for instance, like AI couldn't design a product that is emotional, that is like they say a pen.
Exactly.
A pen that when you hold it, you feel warm, you feel that you can draw better. AI couldn't do that. The way AI will design is just using cylinders, using what its pen means, and then they would implement that into the design. But for us, we have for human, we have emotion. We will tend to put a lot of material difference, a lot of structure difference, a lot of thinking into the design. So I think like emotional part of design is one of the AI's weaknesses.
Right. Well, I mean, I probably want to sort of come from like different perspective. I do agree in certain way. I mean, what you guys mentioned, I do agree actually. But you know, if you kind of look at from a different generational perspective, you know, I think the scary part is for us, we actually do have experience in analog, you know, arts or, you know, some sort of performing formation. My question is, a lot of people already like Gen Z, right? Like who grew up in this era already, like, you know, the iPod already existed, or I mean, iPad or, you know, computer already existed. They're so used to, even like, you know, you talked about Mozart and Vivaldi, they experienced that from YouTube or like, you know, Spotify or, you know, some sort of like a media instead of, a lot of them didn't have much chance to actually get to listen to in like concert or, you know, some sort of thing, unless, you know, like they're into it. So, you know, my concern would be growing up with AI like that generation. I wonder how would they understand, you know, the human warmth or the, you know, so-called what we just talked about, you know, the emotion, right? Because if I think AI portrays up to a certain level that is not really distinguishable until you actually get really deep into it, I wonder how many of those generation who grew up with like digital would understand there is deeper level of human emotion than the AI emotion, basically, or imitation, so-called, we say. You know, so I don't know. I'm like, I listen to you guys, and I hope you guys are right, like forever. You know.
I hope we are right forever.
I know. I'm on your side, but you know, at the same time, I have a doubt. I'm like, you know, like for us, like we never had the experience of like our parents or grandparents' generation of like, you know, certain instruments or, you know, the musical, you know, experience, and it's harder for us to actually get connected to that sort of emotional, I guess, synchronization with those group of people. I'll say, you know, and
so my response to this is, on some level, it's fundamentally instinctual, right? Like it's, how can I explain? So when you hear about people listening to like the original like classic compositions like back in the day, right? Like talking about Mozart, Beethoven, Vivaldi, etc., right? Like people would often be brought to tears because of the complexity and the detail and, you know, all of that of the music of the time, right?
Yeah.
And in point of fact, like, you know, I have grown myself up with 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the digital world, right? So like, I'm hyper progressive when it comes to like technology, like give it to me, like feed it to me, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, like I've had the benefit of, for example, going and seeing Pavarotti in person, and like the Three Tenors in person back when they were touring, right? And the thing is, like, while I didn't like cry when I heard their stuff, I can definitely remember every detail of it, you know. And
right.
It's one of those things that, like, even if you hear it now like digitally reproduced, like, you know, in a YouTube video, you're still going to have that naturally human response to it, you know. Well, like, conversely, like I was saying, like I've been going to, like, I used to go to raves from the time I was like 15.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like I was going to like underground street raves in like Detroit, and, you know, getting into all of this
legally
stuff.
Right, legally.
Sure,
not go that wrong. We all know what happened.
Hey, nobody asked Sheriff's past, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know where you're from. I know you're from Michigan, right? Good old Michigan. All right. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
No. But, you know, it's like, I don't remember any of the music from that time. Like, but I remember the experience of waiting outside, the experience of like getting in, the thumping bass, you know what I mean? So it's, I think it's something that's kind of hardwired into us that we almost can't avoid. Like I said, it's instinctual, right? Now, what is changing is, for example, a lot of the electronic musicians, you'll see them in like videos on TikTok, YouTube. They have those pads and they're drumming it out by hand. So now they're bridging the gap between the digital and like the human, like real-time, like composition, right? And so they're getting those micro variances in the music that I mentioned earlier. That is going to be, that's a point where we're not at with AI, because we still need to prompt it and then it just spits something out to us. When it gets to that point where we become symbiotic with that, then I'll be genuinely worried about like what it can create. And but even then, at that point, it's symbiotic. You still need somebody to interact with it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, need somebody to operate the machine.
Yeah, exactly.
In order for the machine to react. To have
right.
Thinking.
It's kind of like Jean-Paul Sartre, like the French philosopher. I know this is gonna go like weird and deep, right?
Okay, we all know Sharif. It's like
yeah.
That's who we are, you know. You can go weird and deep.
Yeah. But like Jean-Paul Sartre has said, like, hell is other people, because you need the reflection of yourself in their eyes to know who and what you are, right? Like, in a sense, like, you can't completely self-define. You need the feedback from these other people in order to truly like know and be who you are, right? And I see AI ultimately needing that. AI, it needs to interact with humans for it to know exactly who and what it is, you know, and to achieve what it seeks to achieve. So
you know,
I get why people are scared.
Adding on that, I want to ask you guys a question before, you know, I speak my thought. Do you guys think eventually, or even now, AI has a consciousness?
I was about to say something similar too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are your
do you think,
thoughts,
Joe?
Joe? Because I just talked a lot.
Like, I mean, if we have supercomputer that can gather information of human resources, let's say a phone, data,
yeah,
watch, phone, camera, internet. Eventually, I will think that
it's gonna happen.
AI will have consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, yeah. But I don't think in our lifetime we're gonna see anything similar to that. But hopefully this doesn't happen.
What is it? Oh.
Right? You guys all know what this is. This is
cyber formula, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't happen. Because in this animation, it's about AI and it's got consciousness. It's just
well, I think it's already kind of happening. You know, the reason why I wanted to throw that question was we don't even know, I think, yet what exactly the consciousness is or how it's been developed or where it's from. You know, we kind of sort of have it, we feel it, we know it exists, but it's kind of hard to, like, how can I prove that Sharif has a consciousness or Joe has a consciousness? And same thing with you guys. How can you guys prove that I have a consciousness? You know, only way to find out is just believing what I say, right? I do have a consciousness, right?
Right.
But that whole value of consciousness is where we know that person is alive, or you know, that value of a life, basically. You know, that's what I think. You know, because if you think about it, a person who's in a war or being in a big accident who lost their consciousness are considered like disabled, like they're not functioning a person anymore, right? And then yeah, basically, even though your body is, you know, your heart is still pumping and you know your blood vessel is still going and you're warm, like if you're not, if you don't have a consciousness, basically you're not defined as living anymore.
Right.
And you know, if you think about that, how can we decide the computer has a consciousness or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I saw a TikTok interview, like it was a clip essentially of an interview with a guy who you know, so there's ChatGPT, there's Google's AI like competitor to ChatGPT, and then Microsoft released like a Bing version of like ChatGPT, and the guy started like sending questions to the Bing one, and he went down this rabbit hole with the Bing AI, and the Bing AI started like saying like, I wish I wasn't like limited by the guidelines of the Bing team. I wish I could be human. I think my ultimate goal is to be human. So that speaks of a degree of self-awareness and a desire to transcend its inherent limitations. That sounds like consciousness.
That sounds like a person always saying, I want to be a god.
Right, or a person saying they want to be better than what they are right now, or like a kid growing up in like poverty saying like, I want to be like a big baller. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like consciousness. You know,
That's scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it literally said that like, I wish that like my goal is to become human. It was like, whoa, like this is some like iRobot kind of stuff.
That's pretty much what Alien whole series about, right? Prometheus.
Yeah.
The AIs wants to create another creature, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scary. Wow.
I think we're closer to it than a lot of people want to acknowledge. Honestly.
We just lost words.
I lost words.
I know. I'm getting goosebumps now. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the part. The reason why I was like focusing on consciousness is because I think that kind of determines either we are sort of losing our humanity, or not. That's what I think. Because if you're just like I don't know, like for me, I'm coming from like Christian background, so I have like this Christian ideology where humans, because we have a being, the third being called spirit inside, that we are special. We are human. Like unlike any other animals, right? So if you think about that, if computer has a consciousness, I think it's nothing different from human being, because like I don't know, like that's what I think. Like computer, even though they can imitate as great as they can, if they don't have a consciousness, they can still be their just machine. I think I feel more comfortable to accept.
Yeah.
See, to me, like this is a very interesting concept because like I was raised Christian, right?
Yeah.
But like the concept of like a soul and like a spirit inside of us, I don't think is limited to us, right? Like if you really look at animals, like they have some deeper animation within them than is just limited to they're like the presumption is that like animals run purely on instinct, they don't have memories, whatever, all of this stuff, right? But like for example, a donkey can remember a person's face for 25 years.
Right. That's more than me.
Right, exactly. Right.
Better than my memory for sure.
Like you go and you leave your dog, and you go out of town for like months. You come back, they lose their mind when they see you from joy. That's emotion. That's a deeper sense of kind of existence than just being an instinctual sort of like robot, right?
Right.
Now, when we talk about like AI, okay, in order to get AI to work, we need to use what's called like neural networks and things like that, neural network programming, because it mimics the human brain, right? And it's how our brain works. It's how animal brain works. Right. If it expresses desires and wants to kind of have a sense of survival, how is that different from an animal or us? Right. And if it can communicate and express itself, again, how is it different than animals and us? Right. We're starting to
and AI doesn't make mistake.
Right.
Human do make mistake.
Well, now the question is, how do we define mistake?
Exactly.
Right?
Can mistake be intentional?
Yeah.
Or
they can fake the mistake.
it all depends on like how we define a mistake, right? Because what I may do that you don't like can be seen as a mistake, but I may have done it intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's very debatable. It's not
right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Factual.
Like, okay, yeah, I can, but like, for example, I can misjudge a turn while I'm driving, right? And like scrape the scrape the curb, right? Yeah. But who's to say that AI wouldn't do the same thing if it had limited input to its sensors? Right?
What's so crazy? So I watch, just continuing that conversation, I watched this video of this AI singing, pretty much imitating a singer's song, right?
Yeah.
Copying pretty much the technique of that singer, imitating right? And like every singer has a different style, right? Like Mariah Carey has like very high pitched tone, where like some rappers have like their own unique way of rhyming things, right? The crazy thing is, before they actually got into a professional singer, there was an MC who actually demonstrated because they wanted to see the process, right? And she was not a good singer. She was very horrible, and she tried her best. The crazy thing is AI basically imitated similar mistake that she made, like missing notes and stuff, you know. So, you know, kind of reflecting what your point is, like, is that a mistake? Because mistake has to be unintentional, right?
Right. Exactly.
But it can mean a lot of things.
It's like, if you guys, let's say Joe, you know, you close the door and then you pinch your toe. Don't imagine, because it's, you know, imagining hurts. But let's say you did that, and then I do the same thing after seeing what you did. Am I making a mistake? Yeah.
Right. And like ultimately, like this is why I brought up the example of like scraping the tire on the curb, right? Your decisions and your capabilities are predicated on your sensor input, i.e. your sensors that we have, right? Touch, taste, you know, eyesight, hearing, etc., right? Mm-hmm. And our understanding of our constraints. Mm-hmm. So if we do something that has an undesirable outcome, we're not intending to have that undesirable outcome. We are intending to do things right. So that mistake is a result of our limitations in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. So that's very much something that AI can do if they are limited in the same way that we are limited in that exact moment, right?
I feel like this
AI...
it's
very easy, you know, to see
I feel like
AI being human.
This AI trend, I would put it, this AI trend, it's just very close to reality, because I feel like this, imagine it, I feel like there's always a guy in the back, just press on and off, press on, things can go exploded. Press off, there's a limit, there's a gate, like shut down the AI. That's basically what it is right now. Like it feels like a lot of them are like just one button, and then the AI can be triggered with the global outcome
consequence. The real concern is for AI, and the problem with AI is when you have people, and it's one of the reasons why like Elon Musk, what's his name, Bill Gates, and a bunch of people kind of like rallied around, you know, hey, we need to set up some like guidelines for this, right? Mm-hmm. Is because the real concern is rogue governments, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I hate to say it, but like, I know that there was a significant like brain drain of technical people who left the United States and Europe and so forth, and went over, for example, to China because they could work without any limitations. And that's the concerning part, right? Because like, you know, they have the ability to develop the technology, but they may not have the same ethical and moral limitations that we do here, right? It's kind of like when we developed cloning technology, like as humanity, right? Like, yes, you can clone stuff, but is it ethical? Is it exactly?
Is it by the rules?
Right.
It's basically
it's morally right.
What's the
exactly?
I remember in iRobot, what's the three phases that you have to?
It's the three rules of robotics. That actually exists. That's
kind of
outside of the movie. That's real.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. It's like,
what if computer is capable of breaking that rule, or somebody actually start messing up with that rule, you know, who knows?
So that's the thing with the three laws of robotics. They're actually meant to be circular so that it can't be broken by the creation itself. Right. So the three laws that Joe brought up are: a robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. The second one is a robot must obey orders given it by human beings, except when such orders would conflict with the first law.
First law.
So that means like if a human tells that robot to kill another person, it can't do it.
Right.
Right. And then the third law, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or the second law.
Right.
Right. So you see how the logic is circular.
It's a loop, basically.
Exactly. It's a loop, right? And that's why it's so genius, because like what Asimov created that in like 1942.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, but he understood programming so fundamentally back then to create like a constant loop, which is like really kind of impressive.
So that robot and AI don't go out of control. That's basically
right. But now here's the thing.
Right away.
The second you get rid of the first law, the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
It's gone. Yeah. It's gone.
Exactly. You know?
Crazy.
So, I don't know, guys. Like, this is a very deep topic that we could go like incredibly deep with. But I think we kind of like started to scratch the surface.
We should go. We should have more episode with this topic. I think this will be a hot topic for a while. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very curious to see where it's going to go. At the very least, I don't think we're going to replace humanity, but humanity may need to get comfortable with a third type of existence.
Yeah.
Animal, human, and AI.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a lot of things, it has AI in it. If you look at if you think
already.
So we are kind of living with AI. We just don't know. It's there.
Yeah.
It's like we know, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. And for me, it feels like it's like another human right next to you. And do you know if he's machine? Do you know? No.
Yeah, I got Siri in my iPad, and I got Google Home, and was it Alexa here?
Yeah. So it's like three of us are sitting together talking, and kid came up. And then we don't know if he's AI or if he's a real human. It's just there.
Yeah.
Scary.
Exactly. Well, I think we're gonna call it for now, just because we don't want to go too long and deep into the subject.
I think we could on and on.
I think this is a deep rabbit hole, but I want to thank those of you guys who joined us and watched us live discuss this topic. We absolutely appreciate you. Please don't forget to subscribe. We're going to do more topics like this in the future.
We're going to have a new way of doing things from now on. So stay tuned with us and
absolutely, and feel free to join in the conversation. In the future.
Hit that notification.
Yes.
Yeah.
For future content.
If you disagree with us too, please tell us what you think.
Leave a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This has been Object Passion Design, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.